So next, we want to have a for each loop. So I'm going to search for a for each loop in my activity panel. I'm interested in the for each from the one that lives underneath workflow control. Put this here, and you want to loop through for each JSON array. Now, each of the items that is in this loop would be referenced in, I'm going to hit properties, the property of this activity. So you can see there is something called current J token. So let's do a test first. So I'm going to have a message box. I just want to confirm that this is actually working. So I'm going to have a message box. I'm going to drag in the message box right here. And if you can recall, my JSON text consists of several quiz question objects and a single quiz question object, which is represented by the current token, is going to have a question property, and that question property is assigned to an object, and that object has a text property, and that text property holds the actual question. Now I want to display the actual question in my message box. So I'm going to expand on this. So this is what I would be doing here. I would say grab the current token, which represents the quiz question object. And I'm saying inside of the quiz question object, grab the question property, and the question property is going to return for us an object, and that object is going to have a text property, and I want to extract the value of the text property, and that's why I do this. So I hit save, Control S to save. Now to test this, I don't want to, run the entire game from start. So let's mock the game request dictionary. So scroll up to the beginning of your sequence and put an assign, and just indicate that this is for test, because we have to take this off eventually for test. And you want to assign the value of game request to this. Okay. And you want to hit save, Control S to save. Now we can run this with debug. And you can see that it gets a number of questions, I think about 10, because what we put in the request here was 10. If you see, number of questions is 10. So I'm going to hit OK. This is one question. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 questions. Perfect. It works. Now we are certain the API works fine and the data is returned successfully from the API. It's time to load our quiz bucket. To do that, you head over to the multiple assign, and the first thing you want to do is initialize the quiz bucket. So the quiz bucket would be set to this. This is how we initialize it. If you can recall, we have already created the quiz bucket as an argument here, and it is a dictionary integer of string. And that is why we are initializing it this way. Okay, now back to the loop here. We want to have a multiple assign. In this multiple assign, I'm going to create a question variable. I hit Ctrl K and I create a question variable. And what is actually happening here is that I deserialize the JSON into a JSON array. And over here, I loop through each of the items of the JSON array. And for every item in the JSON array, I grab that item as a current J token. And this current J token is a representation of a quiz question object. Remember, the quiz question object has a property called question. So I'm going to grab the value of that property and put it into the variable called question. So I'm going to grab the value, and remember, we have already grabbed the value because we did it in a message box and we saw that this returns the value. So I'm going to put the value here so that it is assigned to the question variable. I hit Ctrl S to save, and this is good. Now I would repeat the same for incorrect answers. I'm going to create a variable, incorrect answers, and I would need to switch this variable to an array. This time around is going to be an array of string, because remember, our incorrect answers contain multiple values. I bring this down, Ctrl S to save, and for the value, I would do this. I hit save, Ctrl S to save. Let's expand on this so that I can do a bit of explanation here. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying for the current token, which represents a quiz object, I want to grab the incorrect answers. Remember, for a given quiz question object, we have incorrect answers that have an array value. So I grab that value here, and this should be an array. So I can easily say dot to array to convert it to an array. But I have done this bunch of stuff here, and this bunch of stuff is to make sure that each item in the array does not have a comma. You would understand why I am doing this in a much later part of this video. I am actually doing this to prevent errors, because I want to use the comma as a special character within the program. So when I remove the commas, I then convert it to an array with this word dot to array. I hit save, and we are good. Now let's grab the correct answer from the jCurrent token. I click add, and I create a variable, Ctrl K, and I call that correct answer. I would want to make this variable an array too, even if I am aware that correct answer would just be one value, but you would eventually understand why I want to make this variable an array. So I'm going to switch this to an array of string, hit Ctrl S to save, and I pull this down. Now in the values, I can expand on this and do this. So what I've done here is simple. I've simply grabbed the jCurrent token and I've extracted the value of correct answer. Now that value is a string, and I have replaced every comma with empty. I just removed the commas. Just in case there's going to be a comma in the string value, I want to take it off, just as I did in incorrect answers. And then I converted this into an array, and that's why you can see this bounded with curly braces. If you can recall back to the JSON string or the JSON text, you would see there is a property called correct answer, and it is a string. And this bunch of code you see here without the curly braces at the end is what extracts that value. The curly braces here then converts whatever you extract from there to an array. I hit Ctrl S, I hit the button save and Ctrl S to save. Just a little bit of heads up, the reason why we have converted that to an array is so that the value can be assigned to the correct answer variable. Remember, we created correct answer variable as an array of string, and you can see that here.
Yeah!
Next, I want to grab all answer options. I hit add, and I would create a variable, Ctrl K, all answer options, hit enter. I go over to my variable panel and I switch all answer options to an array of string. Ctrl S to save, and I pull this down. Now in the value, all answer options is basically the combination of correct answer and incorrect answers. To do that, I do it with this piece of code. So what I'm trying to say is grab the incorrect answer and combine it with the correct answer. Now you understand why I declared the correct answer as an array. I did that because I want to use the concat functionality to combine two arrays with each other. And I close this code, or I end this piece of code. We did .toArray to convert it to an array. I hit save, Ctrl S to save, and this is good. Okay, before we proceed, I think we should test this workflow. So I'm going to toggle a breakpoint on my message box, toggle a breakpoint, and I'm going to hit debug. Now you can see from the local here that for the current J token item, the question is extracted and placed into the question variable. For incorrect answers, the incorrect answers are extracted into the array of incorrect answers. And the correct answer is also extracted as an array. And finally, all answer options is going to be the combination of the incorrect answer and the correct answer. Let's take this one more time. I hit the debug again. And if you'd notice the incorrect answers, I'm going to expand on this. You can see turtle, lion, gorilla. I close out of this. And the correct answer, you can see dolphin. And in the all answer options, you can see turtle, lion, gorilla, and dolphin. What does that tell you? It tells you that the correct answer is always going to be the last answer on the answer option list. And that gives our game away because it creates a possibility for a cheat. The user can discover this and always select the last item on the all answer option list. And they would get everything correctly. So we need to fix this. In order to fix this, we need to reshuffle this list. Without wasting too much time, let's go ahead and build a workflow that should reshuffle this list.